I wanted to put that out there first, okay? The systemic racism within the religions of the world, okay? And it seems as if we're taught the exact opposite of what's really going on according to the Bible. These religions, okay, these religions have a lot to answer for. Because really, you know, the agendas, the hidden agendas through these religions are actually producing more and more unbelief and atheist thinking within the world. Okay? Because children growing up, especially in the Christian church like I was, you trust men and women of God and those that are teaching you about God. There's a serious bond or trust that goes well, it extends beyond your relationship or the trust you would have within your own family with your mother and father. Why? Your mother and father looks out for you, but you're learning from someone who's connected with God. That's an entirely different relationship there, right? So how you view the world spiritually and all that, it usually comes through your spiritual parents, religious leaders, be it whether it's a rabbi, a Christian pastor, an imam. They're on another level in our minds, within our communities, because their connection is with the Almighty himself. So what happens is they teach us one thing about God, which eventually, subsequent to that, breaks our belief system. Because what happens is when after growing up and getting thrown into the world, we realize that it's a bunch of bull, that it's straight hypocrisy, that what they're teaching us in the churches and in these religious institutions is the reverse of their actions. And I call, and I call to mind, just the remembrance of September 11th. We're here September 12th, so-called September 12th. So I call into remembrance the reason for the Middle East war right now. September 11th, right? Well, let me put this up there real quick, right? We were told that some religious Arab extremist, now, I know many Muslims, okay? I grew up around them. They would say, well, leave Christianity because Christianity is a white man's religion, race. They're throwing that out there. And King James was a white man, race. He was also a homosexual, race. But you should really join Islam because Islam is a way of life, more so than a religion that was used to oppress us. Now, when I examine that, it sounds logical, right? So you have Muslims, quote unquote, a way of life, or quote unquote, if you want to deal with the narrative, even though we know that the narrative was cooked up by the world powers that be. The world narrative is that some mad Arabs got mad at the way Americans were living and crashed planes into the building, the World Trade Center, in the name of Allah. Okay. And that's the same religion that teaches that it's world peace and love and all those things, and it's a way of life. Right? Now, you all know that, you know, if you have the truth, you understand the narrative on either side. But I'm going to show you, let's view this through the eyes of the innocent. The innocent believes everything he's told. Okay? He's taught that Islam is a way of life and it is beautiful and it's about world peace and there's no such thing as racism because God wouldn't allow racism being all powerful. But then he see some of his fellow Muslim brothers streaming a plane into a building. And Arabs, under their belief, can kill in the name of God. Automatically, that confuses a child, right? And then on the other hand, you'll have Christians, right? the Christian right in the United States saying that we should declare war against the Arab world. Payback against the principles of the Christ they claim to serve. How can you teach me love and unity and righteousness for all men equally and forgiveness when you can't forgive the Arabs? From a child's perspective, right? It becomes confusing. You're teaching me one thing but doing another, right? And then you have the Arabs. You have the Arabs on one side, the white men on the other side. In the name of the Christian God, we must retaliate. The God of all love. And then you have the Jewish people, quote unquote, God's chosen people in the Western world, who touts, we need to go to war. We need to unite the world against terrorism and Muslim extremists. From a child's perspective, automatically a child is looking at all the prominent religions that teach peace as total hypocrites, or they're resolved in their mind that if these religious people who are spiritual can't get it together, why should I believe any of them? Why should I be a Christian? Why should I be a Muslim? Why should I believe what the Jewish people are saying? Because they all are claiming world peace and love, but yet war is in their heart. Not the love of God that are being taught within their temples, synagogues, and churches. And on top of that, our pastors are actually justifying the war. The same pastor who told me that God is love. It would make, it would make the most zealous believer eventually an atheist. Okay. So, and then on the other hand, the same time, the Most High has a new phenomenon that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. Israelites, or black people, come into the understanding and knowledge that they're Israel. That they are in fact, that we are in fact the children of Israel who walked through the Red Sea. Right? And was delivered a law through Moses. That we are the people who are suffering the curses, and through the grace of God, we're now receiving our promise as sons and daughters of the Most High God. You have that on the other hand. But instead of that being promoted, that enlightened prophecy being promoted as the work of a loving God, right? Because that's prophecy unfolding, that in the same land that it was said, ye are not my people, there shall be told to you that you are the children, you are the sons of the living God. Right? So instead of that being touted as something righteous and something glorious, giving God the glory that he finally began to wake up his people, when one hear of an Israelite now, automatically when you say the word Israelite, the response is, oh, you mean those guys that hate white people? It seems as if the devil is playing a nasty trick, has played a nasty trick on the world. But you know what? We're going to try to resolve as much as we can within this broadcast. Systemic racism within the religions of the world. So in order for me to take on my true origin and true understanding that God gave me, I must also take on my hatred for everyone else as part of the awakening. So now, my family is looking at me saying, well, listen, you're no longer a Christian, you're no longer a Muslim, whatever the case might be. Right? But But I remember you being a better person than you are now, running around hating everyone, and automatically that undercuts the prophecies concerning, the respect for the God we should be thanking for the awakening. There's racism everywhere, isn't it? But through all this, there's a lot of our brothers and sisters on the side, on the fence, looking on the outside in, trying to resolve it all. Because why? They want to follow the right way. They want to know the right way. But all this stuff that's out there, all this hypocrisy within all of these so-called religious sects leaves them wanting, right? Elder Lawyer, you can chime in anytime real quick. There's a few things I want to drop, and I'm going to show you some of the hypocrisy that's in all these religions that are claiming peace, to guide people into the right way of viewing the word of God outside of traditional religion, so that brothers and sisters can try the spirit and know that, listen, okay, I can easily decipher or dissect in these churches what's true and what's not true according to God. And if it's filled with hypocrisy, I can walk away. I can easily walk away from it, but still have a strong foundation in God and a strong belief system in the Most High God, regardless of the church's hypocrisy that's leading people into serious atheist thinking. Oh, the lawyer. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You can chime in anytime.
Absolutely. And just to build upon what you were stating, first and foremost, concerning this broadcast, I think it's momentous, based on the fact that those who are on the sidelines and those who have been turned away from the, I guess you would say, organized religions, through this broadcast can receive answers to a lot of the questions that they've desired since youth or what have you. I think even a child can examine the hypocrisy that is taught and that is exemplified through modern organized religion, preaching one thing, claiming to represent one thing, claiming to represent peace, but at the same time, these same people within the communities who are following these religions are dealing with the after effects of not having peace. Constantly, even walking into the churches, having to worry about ducking gunfire because the people within the community claim to be following religions of peace, whether it be Christianity, Islam, or what have you, but yet they're exemplifying and performing the actions of warfare and hatred.
Yes.
And it just so happens that warfare and hatred is committed mainly against each other, the people within the community. So, I think this broadcast will be very imperative for those who have those questions as to what they've been taught in their religion, opposed to what is actually stated in the Bible concerning the ulterior motive of these religions. What is their actual goal? Is it for peace? Is it for unification of the people who are suffering in the earth? Or is it for the destruction of the people who are currently suffering throughout the four corners of the earth?
You know what I would like to do? I'm going to go over a few examples of hypocrisy that's in the Christian church that teaches peace, and so that no one can believe or think that we're picking on just Christians. Systemic racism within the religions of the world. Does world religions teach love and unity for all people equally? That's what we've been taught. I've been taught as a Christian child. Or is it total opposite? Now let's explore the spirit behind these world religions and the systemic racism taught worldwide in the name of God. So many people, brothers and sisters, are leaving religion altogether. Okay, why? Because they're realizing that the world is nothing like what's taught growing up under their traditional religions, be it Judaism, Christianity, or Islam. Picking up from where I left, let's just show you some of the hypocrisy that would confuse the most zealous believer out there. Okay. And let's first start with quote unquote Christianity. Right? Now, Christianity is a religion about world peace, love, being saved in the name of Jesus, walking in the spirit of quote unquote Jesus. Right? Let's start with Christianity. Elder Lawyer, give me John 3:16 real quick. St. John 3:16. We're going to start with Christianity here and show you the systemic racism that's within Christianity itself. Let's start with Christianity, then we'll move to Islam. No, we'll move to Judaism after that. Systemic racism. John 3:16, Elder Lawyer.
St. John chapter 3, verse 16.
Come on.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son.
God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son,
that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life.
whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. Christianity is all about love, right? Now, so many people have left Christianity once they've grown up beyond being forced to go to church by their parents, when they begin to resolve the world opposed to what was taught. Straight hypocrisy. Where's the love at? God loves the world, but we're living in a world of confusion and hatred. And there's even hatred amongst those who claim to love God in our own churches. But let's deal with the systemic racism, the hypocrisy. Right? God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son. Systemic racism, right? I have a few pictures here that I need to share with you all. Right? I want to share this, and I'll illustrate this for brothers and sisters that are on Blog Talk who cannot actually see what I'm showing my brothers and sisters online, okay? I'll illustrate this for you. Right? God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth on him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. Now, on the screen here, and you have seen this picture before, so I'm not showing anything you haven't seen before, brothers and sisters out there. Okay, but I'm mainly doing this broadcast for those who are coming to the truth, trying to resolve what's going on in the earth, in the confusion, trying to resolve the confusion that was taught in their religion, okay? And what are they to do? How are they to resolve the confusion that was taught to follow the Most High God in spirit and in truth going forward in their in the time of their awakening? Because they have a lot of young brothers and sisters out there who are in their teens who are also waking up. On the screen, there's a white guy by the name of Cesare Borgia. He was the second son of Alexander VI, Pope of Rome. Okay. There's many books out there for him. The Life and Time of the Borgia family, and also the Triptych of Poisoners. Well, this Roman was put up on a pinnacle throughout the earth as God himself. Okay? Under the auspices or name Jesus Christ. They used this image as they colonized and spread Christianity throughout the earth. But this is the same religion which teaches love. God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son. Right? But they didn't proselytize or convert through love. No. They converted through lies, Romans putting up a criminal to be Christ, and through bloodshed and war, colonizing and taking and stripping the cultures of all the people that they have forced this religion on throughout the earth. Right? Systemic racism within the religions of the world. So first of all, they made us believe that all the people in the Bible were white people. Right? Christ, Jesus, all the important people. And that black people were from the seed of Ham or the seed of Cain. Any cursed person that God had an issue with in the Old Testament was black, according to Western world theology. Enough to have black people everywhere walk away from the book. You're telling me it's about love, equality, but yet the only people that's being promoted as anything through this religion are you. You rape, rob, you steal, you lie, but yet you're teaching love, hypocrisy. Most people are now saying, I would rather be atheist if that's the example of being one in Christ. I'd rather not believe God at all if Christians can teach love on one hand and kill, lie, steal, and cheat on the other. You're liars. Even the book itself says that the people within the book are black. Now, am I going to make this a black and white issue? No, because we're going to take this on a doctrinal level. But I'm just going to show you on the surface how these religions confuses children, and it skews their view of life spiritually to the degree where there is really no choice but being atheists and sinners. But if they're raised right according to God and understand how to weigh everything in the balance, including their religion, you know what, brothers and sisters? Our children, our young, might have a slight chance if we can give them the righteousness to weigh with, opposed to the tradition and the lies that were taught to them. But that's just on a Christian side, right? Let's deal with it from the Jewish side now, right? Now this white guy right here, it was a Roman. Romans are heathens, which means there is no law but the law of Caesar when it comes down to it. They're heathens. Romans believe that they could sex who they would like, cross-dress, eat what they would like, do whatever they would like without any man on earth judging their actions. They're pagans at heart. Okay? They worship many gods. They deal with a high level of promiscuity, homosexuality, okay, bestiality, pedophilia. I'm not saying anything that you don't know. These actions were rampant amongst the Romans and Greeks. And I'm perplexed at pastors out there who are Christians that know this, but yet hide the similarities between pagan actions and what they're witnessing in their churches right now. Totally ignoring the fact that it's the same spirit being excused that were in pagan Roman temples. And it leads to people saying, especially people of color, saying, well, listen, there's no moral standard up in here anymore. Christianity is a white man religion. Then I can relate it to the actions. Lawless people with no understanding of family, no protection of the family up here in here anymore. Nothing but excuses for homosexuality, excuses for celebrating pagan days and all these others. You know what? Christianity is a white man religion, and if the Bible excuses this, I'll walk away from that too. So many people are walking away from the Bible due to the hypocrisy and systemic racism and hypocrisy within Christianity. You claim to love and forgive, but all you do is talk about each other, talk down on each other, fight each other. And all you do is propagate war all over the earth. All the wars that we see today are spearheaded by Christian Western countries. Where's the forgiveness? Where's Jesus? The young are confused, brothers and sisters, and straight hypocrisy. It's systemic racism. And see, what happens is, hey, if you sow to the flesh, you'll reap from the flesh. Okay, that's how it happens. If you sow to the flesh you will reap. So since religion was made off of systemic racism, now people who are coming up with the truth and understanding the truth, like us Israelites, instead of us using this understanding to say, you know what, we're not heathens. We're going to do it different than the other nations. We're going to take the higher moral ground and teach righteousness through its purest form. Instead of us taking that stance, because it was sold in the flesh, now we have become proud and began to dish what we've always been against: hatred. Now, because we've experienced so much hypocrisy, hypocrisy has also intertwined itself in our awakening. I don't like what the white man did. He was racist. He did this. He did that. So now I'm going to treat him like this. I'm going to cuss him out. I'm going to say what I need to say with him. I'm going to do what he did to me. I'm going to render evil for evil. It's enough to make anyone with any sense at all say, you know what? Even with the truth, there's systemic racism to the degree in which, okay, I'd rather not deal with that either, because now we become as much as fault in race and being starch racist as the white people that all of us complain about. Right? I mentioned that earlier. Now, Judaism. Christians everywhere, especially the white right-wing Christians, along with the Jewish Messianic Jews, would say, well, these people are the people of God who propagate love, and America and the Western world should protect Israel because Israel have the right. They have the right to a sovereign country to live in peace in a homeland they can call their own. Now, this is what's being propagated through the news, through the Christian right pulpits, that we should defend Israel. The Jewish people have a right to defend their homeland and stand in peace in a land in the Middle East of their own. Because it's about peace and love. Same peace and love stuff I'm hearing in Christianity. Check this out, brothers and sisters. Look what I found. On the screen here, and I'm going to move him over here to my left of the screen. You see him here, right? That guy decorated in the black and gold. You see him? You see him there? I know you see him online. Brothers and sisters, you can't see this on Blog Talk, but his name is Ovadia Yosefs. Okay? Ovadia Yosefs. I mean, this particular Jewish guy is revered throughout all of Jewry right now. Okay, let me give you some background on this particular Jewish icon. Okay, this Jewish Ovadia Yosef. Let me give you some background on this guy. Okay, Ovadia Yosef. Now, is the Jewish faith a religion for peace, as propagated, as they claim, within the Western world? Well, it says here, Ovadia Yosef was an Iran-born Talmudic scholar, a posek, the Sephardi chief rabbi. See, I heard of this guy as I was scanning through the book, The Sephardi Story, and did my research on them. Right? Chief rabbi of Israel from 1973 to 1993, and the founder and longtime spiritual leader of Israel's ultra-orthodoxy Shays Party. He died in 1994. Matter of fact, when he died, all of the high ministers, including the president of Iran right now, they all celebrated him as, you would have thought the Messiah died and rose when Ovadia Yosef died. Okay? Now, I need you to check this out. This is your man of peace, the guy that all of Israel, all Jewish people everywhere around the world celebrate while teaching peace, while propagating that Israel is a land of peace and that Judaism is a religion of peace. The purpose of Gentiles, according to Ovadia Yosef, Goyim. Now, Goyim is another word for nation in the Hebrew Torah or the Old Testament Torah. So when you hear them say Goy or Goyim, they're speaking about non-Jews. Any people on the outside of Jewish people. Goyim were born only to serve us. Without that, they have no place in the world. Only to serve the people of Israel. In Israel, this guy's words were celebrated amongst Jewish circles. No one out there, you can't find no Jewish guy anywhere denouncing Rabbi Ovadia Yosef for these statements. In Israel, death has no dominion over them. With Gentiles, it will be like any person. They need to die. So in the name of God, he's saying that any people outside of Jewish people, now you can find these quotes yourself. Any people outside of Jewish people needs to die. I have more. But God will give them longevity. Even though they need to die, our God will give them longevity. Why? He asked and answers and says, imagine that one's donkey would die. They'd lose money. So we just can't let them die, even though they deserve to die being non-Jews. But as long as we can use them like donkeys and not lose money, this is his servant. That's why he gets a long life to work well for this Jew. Why are the Gentiles needed? Well, they will work. Jobs, anyone? They will plow. They will reap. We will sit like an effendi and eat. That is why Gentiles were created. Gentiles were created. The guy here celebrated by Jews all over the world says, we were born, speaking of all people outside of Jewish people, were born to work for them, then die. That's all we're worth. But yet, they tout world peace and a loving God. When you go inside in their synagogues or they gather with you, you would think some peace was going on up amongst them, huh? No, 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 no. So how do we examine these religions and these traditions and examine them rightly according to the Most High to make a choice on what God will serve and through what book we'll use? Because that's just on the white side. The Arabs now. There's a lot of racist Arabs out there, folks. Very racist. You go inside their stores, they treat us no different than the other people who treat us. But yet have mosques set up saying Islam is a religion for peace. It's all about love and a way of life, and have our people and other people converting into Islam. But yet you know how they treat you. Oh yeah, what about the New Age? Oh, the New Age religion is a place of peace, and it's all to be Buddhist and Chi and to relax and be one with the universe in Asian religion as a Buddhist. But you see those Buddhists surrounded that sister in the nail shop with brooms? With Buddha sitting right there on the counter, ready to attack a sister inside. Now, I'm not saying to respond back and sow to the flesh as the Gentiles are sowing to the flesh. I'm saying you need to resolve them and realize the systemic racism that's really taught in all these religions, opposed to the lies they use to proselytize on the surface. They use to convert you on the surface. And then understand why it's so. Okay. Now, brothers and sisters, I'm going to cut to the chase. I'll bring you in a second, Elder Lawyer. Let me take these criminals off here real quick. Let me take those criminals off. Let me cut to the chase and say this. God is a God of love. Okay. But there will be no peace until he brings peace. The sin of man caused a divide between mankind and God. That's your divide. Ham, Shem, and Japheth was on the ark with Noah as brothers under one faith that was given to them through Noah and Seth's bloodline, all the way to Adam. At one point, sin came in, spirits that divided the brotherhood, and through that sin, war. Each of these brothers have religion that they use to unite themselves against the other brother for the sake of power. So this aspect was never taught in the Christian church. That really religions are more political than they are a righteous path in connection with a God. It's more the brotherhood between those off here real quick. The surface that's really taught as a soul into the flesh. I'm saying you need to resolve them. Now, I'm not saying to respond back. Now, brothers and sisters, I'm going to cut to the chase. I'll bring you in a second, Elder Lawyer. Let me take these criminals off here real quick. Let me take those criminals off. Let me cut to the chase and say this. God is a God of love. Okay? But there will be no peace until he brings peace. The sin of man caused a divide between mankind and God. That's your divide. Ham, Shem, and Japheth was on the ark with Noah as brothers under one faith that was given to them through Noah and Seth's bloodline, all the way to Adam. At one point, sin came in, spirits that divided the brotherhood, and through that sin, war. Each of these brothers have religion that they use to unite themselves against the other brother for the sake of power. So this aspect was never taught in the Christian church. That really religions are more political than they are a righteous path in connection with a God. It's more about rallying one race against the other. So the reality is, these people should have just brought forth their agendas outside of our book and told the people the truth. Okay. They should have told everyone. Buddhists need to tell the truth, that they're pagans. They follow many gods to fallen gods. And their religions are uniting all Asian people against other races to empower themselves. The Jewish people already tell you. They don't have to deny it. Okay. The Arabs, the same thing. It's a rallying cry under their God. Now, at the pinnacle of all this is Satan. Satan is their God, who have divided all the nations and have caused war. We, being ignorant, not being taught righteously in these churches, are blaming all that's wrong with the earth on God. Why? Because you haven't studied the Bible. You don't know the Bible. Christ said there'd be wars and rumors of wars and all this. Because why? All nations are jockeying for power. Why? There's a void in the power structure. God's people lost power. Therefore, all the other nations are fighting over it. But I'm going to leave that until the end of the show. There's a lot of things I want to touch on real quick. Systemic racism within religion. Brothers and sisters, if you want to resolve and know what's right or wrong, stick with this radio show, this broadcast tonight. And we're going to take you down. We're going to take you step by step into how to decipher your religion. And if it's if it's a contradiction to the Most High God in this book, you are to walk away from your religion, because we're going to show you how to weigh it all. Someone must stand with the book against these lies they're teaching, against this systemic racism, because through this, more and more brothers and sisters are walking away, not resolving the hypocrisy they've learned in their religions. They're just walking away altogether, blaming everything on God, because no one's out there is showing brothers and sisters how to weigh it all and give a biblical answer to why there's war, why there's bloodshed, why there's variances and hatred. Okay? Elder Lawyer, you can step in at any time you would like.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And in fact, there's a few scriptures I wanted to cover dealing with this topic from dealing with both the systemic racism, but also the spiritual aspect and the biblical, historical, prophetic aspect of what we're witnessing within our religions and the part we play in those religions, being, if you will, second or third class citizens in every religion we follow. And we're not just dealing with, as you mentioned earlier, just the Christianity, which we can identify as the so-called white man's religion. Mm-hmm. You have Islam, the so-called Arab man's religion. Mm-hmm. You have the East Indian man's religions, the Asian religions, and even the Hamitic or so-called African religions.
Exactly.
And I mentioned that because some of our people, they'll look at the artifacts, they look at the symbolism, they'll look at the idols or the images, if you will, of those so-called African religions, and they'll think because it's black, it's pro-me, pro-my identity.
Exactly.
Well, one of the first captivities that we served as the children of Israel was under so-called Africans, the Egyptians. So the religions that would come out of Egypt would be what? They would be anti-Israelite. They would also pose a view of systemic racism. That systemic racism is actually documented throughout the book of Exodus. Mm-hmm. Those who would like to read that on their own time. But like I mentioned, there's a few things I wanted to cover scripturally, and you know what? I may hold it till afterwards, so after we take a few calls.
Yes, if you don't mind, Elder Lawyer, let's give out the phone number real quick. Let's give out the phone number real quick. You have it?
Yes, let me pull it up here on the Blog Talk.
Okay. Call on in, and I tell you what, even if you're on YouTube, you can call in this number. Okay. It's
yes, the number is 515.
515. I have it, Elder Lawyer. 515-604-9064. 515-604-9064. Let's talk about this systemic racism that's within all of these Gentile religions. These religions have never been about peace. Our children have been lied to. We have been lied to. And the moment we begin to take that in, the Most High will begin to guide us into his marvelous light and the truth outside of these world religions. And guess what? That's including pro-black religions. Okay? Because what? We'll get ourselves out of a ditch, then fall in a valley. We'll say, well, okay, Christianity, Elder Lawyer, was racist, so let me now become Kemet. Let me now become this or come that. And guess what? These black people, these black religions we're following treated us worse than, if not worse than the white man did. Black people who were Hamitic. The Egyptians gave us hell. Okay, so now we're not going to choose a religion based on what a nation did to us. We're not going to choose God based on past offenses. Okay? We're not going to do it that way. That's the small level, the low level that happens when people start joining these pro-black religions. Okay? Well, I'm only joining this because I'm against the white man. Well, that's the wrong reason to serve a God or choose to serve a God. Okay, I'm going to touch on that in a moment.
Are you seeking to strengthen your biblical foundation? Join us in the Hebrew Bible Academy, where we offer 12 weeks of in-depth learning in a structured environment. Receive real-time news from Brother Shapat and amazing lessons by Elder Ricard. Learn ancient Hebrew with Elder Lawyer. With 12 amazing lessons, you are guaranteed to learn more about your true biblical history and authentic Hebrew language than you would in a traditional Christian church for only a one-time payment of $150 or 3 monthly payments of $50. Join us at historytimes.org and sign up today. It's not too late. See you in the academy.
Okay, Loie, I just played the commercial there for those who would like to enroll in the academy. Yes, and we will see you in the academy this weekend, starting this Sunday. And guess what? We found that a lot of brothers and sisters out there come into the truth out of whatever religion you came out of, and don't know exactly how to follow the law according to Christ, being an Israelite. You have so many different aspects or different demands, I would say, according to the law that one would box you into, depending on what group you look at. Okay, so what I wanted to do to resolve a lot of those law issues people might have and not understanding what to follow when it comes to the law, statutes, and commandments and holy days, is to also, Lawyer, we're going to add inside this academy a lesson we had before on a more in-depth level, the law, statutes, and commandments of God. Okay, to show you the moral, civil, dietary law according to the Most High, and how it was delivered to our forefathers, Moses and the elders coming out of Egypt, what was under the law, and where do grace apply now we're under Christ. And that will resolve all those issues, because you have all these different Israelites that are saying, well, you should do this and you should do that, or try to put us back under the bonds we're free from. Okay. Now, yes, we do have to follow the law. We can't be eating unclean food and committing adultery and celebrating Christmas and all those things. So what the Gathering of Christ is going to do as a caveat in this academy is show you the law according to the Bible's perspective, old and new. We're going to show you there was a law before Moses, what that was, how it was written in stone given to us, and how we were to execute that, and how Christ brought us back under the spirit of the law. Okay, and how we must follow it now during this awakening. That will be in the lesson. Also, we're going to do the 70 weeks of Daniel. We're going to do a lesson on the apocalypse, the coming apocalypse that will lead to the kingdom of heaven. Brand new lessons. And we're going to also, for this academy, I'll bring in the information on the impact of how color, the importance of color or race in the Bible, resolving race altogether within the Bible, because the Bible does point out races and have prophecies concerning them. Well, guess what? If you want to be in this academy, send an email to gatheringas1@AOL.com or go to historytimes.org and enroll. You don't want to miss the information. It's only $50 a month. You don't want to miss it. Okay, Elder Lawyer, jumping right back in. You said there's a few points you wanted to go over with resolving the topic this evening. And the topic, for those who have just come in, let me put it out there for you: systemic racism within religions of the world. Does world religions teach love and unity for all people as promoted, as propagated? Okay, that's what I was taught as a child. Or is it the total opposite? Okay. Let's explore the real spirit behind these world religions and the systemic racism taught worldwide in the name of God. And let's make this clear. All right. There's no way the Gathering of Christ Church would put this topic out there without resolving it according to the Most High. We're tired of brothers and sisters blaming God for what's going on in the earth, saying, well, look at what your religion is doing. We're tired of that. Well, I walked away from the Bible because of Christianity. They're doing this, that, and the other. Yet God says we should do this, and there's nothing but hypocrites up in the church. So I don't want to learn from that Bible if it's teaching to excuse homosexuality, adultery, stealing, lying, bearing false witness, tattlers. We're tired of that because God has nothing to do with that. On top, a matter of fact, the Bible is staunchly against the actions in these religious institutions. So it's time, brothers and sisters come of age, learn this Bible and weigh the tenets within your religion. And if you realize that your religion is against the law, statutes, and commandments of God, you must walk away. It has always been evil. There was never no love, okay? There was never no unity. It's a front. There were never any of that within any religion, involving it according to the religions of the world. Does world religions teach love in religions? There's no way to get behind these world religions and the system without resolving it according to the Most High. We're tired of brothers and sisters blaming God for what's going on in the earth, saying, well, look at what your religion is doing. We're tired of that. Well, I walked away from the Bible because of Christianity. They're doing this, that, and the other. Yet God says we should do this, and there's nothing but hypocrites up in the church. So I don't want to learn from that Bible if it's teaching to excuse homosexuality, adultery, stealing, lying, bearing false witness, tattlers. We're tired of that because God has nothing to do with that. On top, a matter of fact, the Bible is staunchly against the actions in these religious institutions. So it's time, brothers and sisters come of age, learn this Bible and weigh the tenets within your religion. And if you realize that your religion is against the law, statutes, and commandments of God, you must walk away. It has always been evil. There was never no love, okay? There was never no unity. It's a front. There were never any of that within any religions of the world. The floor is yours, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And I'm going to try my best to not only be brief, I'm going to try to speak to the hearts of those who may not have the understanding of an Israelite, what an Israelite is, what it means to be an Israelite. And to reference a video we did a long time ago for brothers and sisters who may not have that understanding. When you get the opportunity, please go to A Gathering 144 on YouTube and look up a video called 12 Lost Tribes, or 12 Tribes of Israel Lost and Found.
The 12 Lost Tribes Found, yes.
Yes, sir. And that video will give you context as to what we mean when we say Israelites. Now, the first place I want to go scripturally, because, again, there's a lot of confusion out there concerning the role that race plays and systemic racism. What role does that play biblically, and what role does that play on a social level with us being so-called blacks, Hispanics, or what have you, those who fall under those particular labels of minority? How does this information concerning systemic racism socially and religiously relate to us? I'm going to start in the book of Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 4. And thou even thyself shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. So we understand that our heritage was encompassed with the laws, statutes, and commandments that were given to Moses. And then eventually, we know with Christ, the faith of Christ, the testimony of Christ, all of those things play a part in our heritage as a nation, along with our identity. Okay? Now, the reason I'm mentioning this is because if the Bible tells us that we were discontinued from our heritage, which includes our religion, for lack of a better term, if we would lose that information, then in captivity, those who would oppress us, those who we would serve captivity under, would substitute our original heritage for another heritage, would substitute our original religious beliefs, if you will, for a different religious belief. Now let's see what the Bible says about these people under who we were scattered in these places where we lost our heritage. It says, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. So the Bible makes it clear that the people that we would serve under the loss of our heritage, under the loss of our God or our religion, these people would be considered biblically as enemies. Enemies in the sense that they do not serve the true living God, they worship false gods, and then also they have a problem with us based on the fact that they feel that they were either slighted or what have you by our fathers receiving the covenant of God, and that the relationship between the Most High and man would be through these people who would later become servants and captives. So therefore, because we're serving under these nations, we would have to depend on them for everything, including the knowledge of who we are, and as well as our religion, and what religion to follow, what God to serve, so on and so forth. When you go to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48, it says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee. So the Most High sent these people against us because we broke his law, statutes, and commandments. Send against thee in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. Mm-hmm. That's including our religion. That's including the knowledge of who we are and the knowledge of who God is. We would have to depend on our enemies who keep in mind, or depend on the people who keep in mind the Bible calls our enemies. So, of course, if we're learning about God and religion from the enemy, they would teach religion from a perspective that keeps us second and third class citizens. So even though they may allow us into the temples, they may allow us into the synagogues, they may allow us into the mosque, they may allow us in the church, they teach or they have a mindset that these people who we're teaching are below us based on their theology. Okay? Now, you can see, now, brothers and sisters, you can see this just based on the fact that when you go into the church, we showed earlier that what? You see images of who? So-called Europeans plastered all over the stained glass windows and pictures all over the place of so-called Europeans representing Christ, the prophets, so on and so forth. So that alone shows you that there's a systematic racial belief system ingrained within Christianity. Okay? When you go into the mosque, of course, you're serving under who? The children of Ishmael, Arabs. When you go into African religions, Hamitic religions, you're serving under who? Hamitic people, so-called Africans. Okay? So it says we would go to these people for one of all things, and that includes the knowledge of our God. When you go to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64, it tells us that what? And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth, even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods.
That's right.
Today we refer to these gods as what? Religions. So this is a part of everything that you've been learning in your church, in your mosque, in your synagogue, okay, in your Buddhist temple, has been a snowball effect or an end result of our disobedience of God and eventually being scattered amongst the enemies, and those enemies teaching us their viewpoint of God as well as their viewpoint of us in relation to their God.
Elder Lawyer, it's one thing I want to say. Hold your point. It's one thing I want to say on that, because I don't want to lose what the Most High just given me here, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
While you were speaking, you jogged so many points that I really need to hit this one. There's a reason why white people don't have to, within the Christian church, ask, who are we according to the Bible? It's evident who they are. When they go in, you understand, when they go into a Christian church, all the people, all the pious, holy people looks like them. So they don't really have to deal with the "it doesn't matter" dismissive claim. Because when they say it doesn't matter, it's only speaking to those who are looking for their identity. They're not looking for their identity. It's evident who they are when they walk up into a church and see Mary as a European white woman or Christ as a European white man. So they don't have to deal with that. It doesn't matter who we are, because it's evident to the world who they are. According to their religion, they're God's chosen people, and all other people on earth was meant to serve them. So I need to emphasize that, because it's only the people looking for their identity asking questions. Okay? So when a black person said, well, hold up, Christ is a black man, then you're taught, well, no. Here's another black man you can be in the Bible. We'll give you a Bible black person, but he's a Hamitic person. The curse of Ham, or the curse of Cain, is on you. And then when you do a theological study, it's systematic racism, because those nations that they tell you that they put on us was meant to serve the children of Israel within the Bible. So by default, the white people that you see in your churches are supposed to be served by black people, and they say that without saying it, by teaching that we're Hamitic. That's systematic racism, folks. Okay? Then they say, well, we really shouldn't be talking about this because God is love. Okay, see, that's how they explain all of their deception off, brothers and sisters, by using psychological tactics like love, together, world. Like it really doesn't matter. We're going to show you how to resolve that, but I just had to make that point real quick, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And it's a great point.
Yeah.
I think it goes in line with what we discussed this past week in the Academy. I'm not sure if you have that article with you. I think it was saying something to the effect where Christian organizations or Christians are coming together, evangelists are coming together to try to prevent people teaching the Bible from a social aspect or from a social...
From an ethnic, from an ethnic standpoint.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And the question is, why do they need to make these statements? Well, when people start to go into the Bible and they read the Bible, they read the prophecies, they read the curses, they can't help but to relate it to what they're experiencing as an ethnic group within society. So now they have to try to cause a way or prevent people from trying to view the Bible from a standpoint that actually relates to the issues they face on a daily basis, whether it be race or what have you.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly. Now, and for those on YouTube, yes, I can see all y'all chats. I'm looking right at them. But go on, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Just a few more points.
Yeah.
Because we made a statement earlier concerning these religions teaching peace. And concerning, we're a religion of peace, we're about love, so on and so forth. Well, the Bible tells us that we would find no peace within the religions or within the places in which we were scattered serving these religions.
Exactly.
It tells us in Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 65, and among these nations, meaning the nations amongst who were scattered, whose gods we would serve, thou shalt find no ease. Meaning you should find no peace. So they're telling you, and you have this one thing where in these different philosophies, they'll say that I found my inner peace. Well, the fact that you have to find inner peace lets you know that hell is going on all around you.
Yeah, to let you know there's no outer peace.
Exactly. You're going through hell on the outside, so the only thing you can look forward to is inner peace. Okay? Now, the Bible gives us understanding as to why the hell is going on around us, and it lets us know what we must do to get out of this quote-unquote hell that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Okay? But it says, neither shalt the sole of thy foot have rest, but the Lord shall give thee a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind. And this is what we're dealing with in these religions. That's why people are leaving the churches. People are leaving the mosque. They're leaving the organized religions because they're going there to receive peace. They're being taught about peace. They're being taught about love, but they're still dealing with sorrow of mind, living in doubt, because their reality is so different than what they're receiving from the pulpit. Okay? Just two more, one last point. And on this point, you can jump in at any time. Just showing an example biblically. This is from the Apocrypha, 1 Maccabees, the 1st chapter, and the 43rd verse. And this is showing that the purpose of Gentile religions is for the sole purpose of destroying the Israelites and their connection towards their God. Okay? So 1 Maccabees 1 and 43 says what? Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, meaning the religion that was brought to Israel by Alexander the Greek and eventually was enforced through Antiochus Epiphanes. What religion was that? The religion of Hellenism, which you'll find traces of Hellenism still exist within modern religions such as Christianity.
Exactly.
Okay? So it says, yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in a religion that upholds the worship of images or
profane the Sabbath, that means Sunday worship. That's exactly what that meant. Because Sunday is the first day of the week. Sunday is the first day of the week, not the 7th. So, Bible's truth, not religions. Read the Bible. And there's 8 books in the Bible. And King James wasn't wired nothing. They lied on him. But Christ, Dustin, World War of the Bible. Revelation 1:14-15. Daniel 10:6 says Christ, Dustin, World War, red eyes. Christ's real name is Yeshaya. That means my Savior in the ancient Hebrew Phoenician. Most real names are Hai Shai, I am Naam, ancient Hebrew Venetian, Exodus 3:13-14 with Moses. I am Naam, ancient Hebrew, Hai Shai. So his son, Crescent Shia. So that's their only names, real names. And what they teach in Christianity, these holidays, not in the Bible, nothing about Christ. So the Bible is true. No religions, not Christianity, no Roman Catholics, Romans, Jewish people are Romans from Esau. They're not Israelites. You can't be an Israelite through a religion or a conversion. It's through bloodline, lineage. It's not through a religion. If you read the Bible, Herod, the Greek, was a Jew because he was a Roman, but through Judaism he became a Jew through a conversion, through a religion. He was actually eaten by a white man. So it's through the seed, it's through bloodline. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Jacob's 12 sons, goes 12 tribes of Israel. That you're Israelite. So in Deuteronomy 28:68 says the Israelite went into slave ships to America to be sold to men because they broke the laws as punishment in the covenant. And they're living curses, and they forgot who they were and all that. So yeah, you know what real Israelites are. So Bible's truth, not religions. And you need to follow laws and commandments. Christ said himself. Don't think for a moment I came to destroy the laws or the prophets. Gotta follow laws and commandments. You can't eat what you want. You can't do none of that. Follow holy days, not these satanic holidays. No religions. Simple.
Uses images as a part of worship. Uses symbols.
Yep, no symbols or images. That shit's pagan and satanic.
As a part of worship. If you're in a religion that tells you it's okay to profane the Sabbath, you don't have to deal with the Sabbath, or our Sabbath is on Friday morning to Friday evening, or we worship on Sunday, or every day is God's day. If you're in that type of religion, understand that your religion falls under what we're reading here. Okay? It says, number 44, verse 44, for the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem. So it says, yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. So if you're in a religion that upholds the worship of images or uses images as a part of worship, uses symbols as a part of worship, if you're in a religion that tells you it's okay to profane the Sabbath, you don't have to deal with the Sabbath, or our Sabbath is on Friday morning to Friday evening, or we worship on Sunday, or every day is God's day. If you're in that type of religion, understand that your religion falls under what we're reading here. Okay? It says, number 44, verse 44, for the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, that they should profane the Sabbath and festival days, and pollute the sanctuary and the holy people, set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beast. If you're in a religion that tells you that you don't have to follow God's dietary law, if there is no dietary law within your belief system, understand that you are in a religion which is against God. The same way the religion of the Greeks was against God. It says here in verse 48 that they should leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end that they might forget the law and change the ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandments of the king, he said he should die. In the self-same manner wrote he to his whole kingdom and appointed overseers over all the people. Today you would call these overseers, whether they be pastors, whether they be preachers, whether they be imams, ayatollahs, whether they be, what do they call the guy in Buddhism?
Whoever he is. And a rabbi, the Dalai Lama, the rabbis.
Right, exactly.
The Pope.
The overseers. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Yes, these are the overseers that are set over your different religious beliefs within the places where you have been scattered to ensure that you remain oppressed in these religions. to ensure that systematic racism exists within these religions, to ensure that you remain a second and third class citizen within their religion. Okay? It says, then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law, so they committed evils in the land, and drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could flee for safety or for secure.
So that's deep in itself, because what this is showing us is that we had to hide to actually uphold righteousness amongst us.
To be good,
Yes.
Sin, lust, and do as thou wilt was so.
Satan's mantra was the world. That's why the Bible says the world was in the hand of the wicked. Satan, the world. To be righteous and non-sinful, you had to hide or be killed by satanic Satanists, pagans, or demon-possessed. That's the world. People gotta wake up.
Rampant with our people
Everything against God, you have to upheld or be killed. So people gotta wake up, bro.
following the Hellenistic ways, that those who wanted to do right were threatened by mainstream society. Sounds familiar? It's like you're censored for wanting to do right according to God's law. Go ahead, Elder Lawyer. Great point.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And one last point, jumping over to 1 Maccabees 3 and 47.
Yes.
Now, not just dealing with the spiritual aspect of the systematic racism, but now dealing with the imagery of systematic racism. It says here in 1 Maccabees 3:47 through 48, then they fasted that day and put on sackcloth and cast ashes upon their heads and rent their clothes, and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen, meaning the Gentiles,
The heathen, go on,
had sought to paint the likeness of their images.
They put their own images in our book, so that once our children lose the heritage, we would awaken and believe that it was the white people or other nations or the conquerors as God's people the whole time.
Exactly.
Bible prophecy. Go on, Elder Lawyer.
That's it.
Now, there's one point I want to make before I open up the lines. The phone is 515-605-9064, 515-604-9064. Okay. Something I want to mention real quick to you, brothers and sisters here. 515-604-9064. Wanted to make sure that was correct. Brothers and sisters, this is how you weigh whether or not you should stay in your religion. First of all, ask yourself this question. Are you going to church or any religious institution, be it the mosque or the synagogue? Are you going there to actually serve and please God? Or is it more through tradition or a social place of gathering with people you care for? You have to really, really come to terms with that question. Because if you're not going to church to serve God and to walk obedient in the earth concerning that God, there's a serious problem here. You have to be honest with yourself. Are you going to church because your mother and father forced you to, and it became the only way of worship you knew? Is it more tradition? Okay, then it is you actually studying to show yourself approved, and is looking to be guided by the Most High into His kingdom. That you really want to serve God and have Him know that the Most High God, the Creator, is pleased with you. Are you walking in this earth as a child of God, searching for a way to please the Most High? Do you want to know what's pleasing unto Him? And if you did know, would you follow it? Even if it meant walking away from the churches right now, from the synagogues right now, from the mosque right now, because all these places have been against us. So how do we weigh this? How do we examine our belief system to know whether or not it's true? Well, it's simple. The law. No longer will we have our Christian pastors or our imams or our Jewish rabbis in these institutions tell us why there's things we don't have to follow, or make an excuse outside of what God said with his own word, which is the Bible. Example. Okay. The number one thing to look for to know whether or not you're in the right place is idols. If there's an idol anywhere in your religion, you must walk away from it almost immediately. Let me show you. Elder Lawyer, get this. Get Exodus the 20th chapter, Psalms 96.
Yes, sir.
That's number one. And I'm putting this out there, brothers and sisters, because the brothers and sisters want to know, well, how can I get that relationship with the Most High to know that I'm sure in my conscience concerning my walk with him? How do I know? How I want to feel that presence and know that the Most High is with me. It's simple, folks. All we have to do is follow his guidelines. And through these guidelines, he presents himself through the Holy Spirit and assure us in our conscience it's the right path. But it's our disobedience against his law that disconnected us in the past that still keeps us disconnected. So we, being ministers of the Most High, no longer will we give you excuses of why you should no longer hear what God have to say, like these Christian churches. What we're saying is, regardless of what they're talking about, try it. Try it God's way for one time. For one time. You heard the Christian way. You heard the Muslim way. Try it God's way. Try it Christ's way. Christ says, I'm the way, the truth, the life. No man cometh to the Father but by me. Christ said in Matthew 5:17, think not that I've come to destroy the law or the prophets. I come not to destroy, but to fulfill. Neither one jot or tittle should no wise pass the law until all things be fulfilled. Which Christ was telling us, don't let nobody come after me telling you to break God's law on purpose and using me to do it. Don't even think it in your mind. I'm the way. Christ never broke the Most High's law. Okay? He was an embodiment of the law. And through that, the Most High shined down on him after his baptism and said, this is my son in whom I'm well pleased. He's showing my people how to walk righteously with my law. Moses gave them the law, but Christ will show you how to walk in it. He's not going to make excuses to why one can't follow it, like the churches. First thing to look for is idols. You have to move all idols out of your way. Why? Nothing can be between you and your God. Nothing. You want that connection, that spiritual connection, to know for a surety he's in you, he's with you, he's guiding you through the Holy Spirit? Well, you have to put away anything in between you and him. Christ made that path. He made that way. See? Let's read it real quick, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Exodus chapter 20, verse 2. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt.
I am the Lord thy God. Read.
That brought thee out of the land of Egypt.
That brought thee out of the land of Egypt. Read.
Out of the house of bondage.
Come on.
Verse 3. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
Thou shalt have no other gods before him. Now, all of the Gentile nations, including African nations, worship many gods. They worship ancestors. They have shrines they worship to the dead. All that is against God, folks. Read.
Yes, sir. And I can mention one thing on that. Another trick in these religions is they'll state that there's many gods or there's many different names or many different ways, many different paths to get to God or to God, but we're all worshiping the same one or something to that effect.
Yeah.
They'll try to.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's a bold-faced lie. There's only one God with one name. Satan has many names. Okay, because he's the God of over the nations that were there at the Tower of Babel, at the split of Babel. All nations have some variant of the Babylonian religion that was under Nimrod. That's when the names of their God, Satan, was split into different nations. So who they're talking about is the principality powers of the air. He has many names, but not the true God of Israel, not the true God of gods. Okay? Now, all other nations outside of Israel did idolatry. They would have an idol to resemble the God they worship. So if you see this in your temples, like with Muslims that have a Kaaba stone they march around, that's an idol, folks. If you see this in the Christian church, where they have a picture of Caesar Borgia up there to be worshipped as Jesus Christ, or on a cross, or a cross around their neck, that's idolatry, folks. Because Christ is resurrected. Christ lives. Okay? Even the epistles show Christ in full power amongst the disciples after his death. Okay, so any rendition or pictures that you would see in a religious setting of Christ to be put up to be worshiped or to be prayed to, that's an idol. It's against God. That idol is between you and the God you claim to serve. Go on, Elder Lawyer. So if that's going on in your church, you must walk out of it. You're not going to convince your pastor not to have it up. He's going to bring you an excuse to why he's serving idols. Come on.
Verse 4. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me.
Now let's get Psalms 96 and 5 real quick, Elder Lawyer. The title of this particular broadcast is Systemic Racism Within the Religions of the World. They'll lie and claim that religion is about peace and a way of life, when there's no example of peace in a way of life, in a righteous way of life. There's no example out there anywhere that's being propagated by these governments who are promoting these religions. Where's the peace? Where's the love? It's total hypocrisy. And a matter of fact, it's the reverse of what they're teaching. All religions are against the children of God. Every last one of them. Come on, Elder Lawyer. Let's go. So if you're in a Christian, so you so-called Christians, Muslims, you so-called Jewish people, you have to come to terms on the real reason why you're in these so-called religious institutions. And when you really examine it, you'll find that God, in order, is at the bottom of the list to why you gather in these areas, in these so-called conclaves you call temples or churches. When you really look at it, if you're honest with yourself, you're not there for God. God is, if he's in any order, he's not at the top. You're not there to serve God. Okay? It's evident if you're honest with yourself. Because if there's an idol in your church and you still make an excuse to go, you've lied to yourself. Come on, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Psalms chapter 96, verse 4.
Let's go.
For the Lord is great and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods.
He is to be feared above all gods. Read.
Verse 5.
Come on.
For all the gods of the nations are idols.
For all the gods of the nations are idols. Now, there's even idolatry within Judaism. Okay. There's this little man that's worshiped and revered, okay, within Judaism. Did y'all know about it? Lawyer, drop it real quick.
You're referring to the golem.
The golem, which they claim is some good luck charm, but really it's a demon that's being worshipped within Judaism that's called the Goyim. The Goylem. Okay.
Right.
Go on to the lawyer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Basically, the golem is an image that they create, like Elder mentioned, of a man. And what they believe is that if you recite incantations, you recite certain prayers, you recite certain spells over this thing, it will cause this inanimate being, this idol, to come to life.
To come to life.
And defend.
A little short dwarf to come to life in Judaism called the Goylem. Read. Go on.
Yes, sir. Psalms 96 and 5. For all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord made the heavens.
But the Lord made the heavens. So the Lord is letting us know, listen, first of all, you're not serving me if there's idols in your place of gathering. So that
means pictures, statues, they're all idols, idolatry, satanic, worshiping fallen angels. CJ Bojet as Jesus Christ, Mary as Ramesses. There's only the Most High God should be worshipped, the Most High, the Creator, not Christ, not Mary, none of that. It's all satanic paganism. And it's not even the real Christ or Mary or whatever, baby Jesus or whatever. It's not the real ones. Fakes. It's Babylon, Satan, Ramesses, and Talmud/Nimrod. So worshiping fallen angels and demons and Nephilim and shit. You're not even following. It's pagan to follow to worship the real Christ in Mary itself, but the thing is, you're not even worshiping the real ones. So it's a double whammy. Breaking the laws and it's paganism. So any type of crosses, cobblestone, Buddhist statue, images of Mary, Christ, pictures, graven images, in them idolatry, idols, statues, pictures. It's satanic. It's pagan. It's not the real Christ or Mary either. It's fallen angels and demons posing as. They just put the name there. So people gotta wake up.
excludes the Christian churches, that excludes the mosques, and that definitely excludes the synagogues. Okay? Another thing. If they lie on the Lord's day. A lot of you don't realize that the Sabbath is a sign between man and his creation. It's a sign for those that are really serving the living God. The Sabbath. Let's get that real quick, Elder Lawyer. I'm going to show you how backwards and like, for instance, in Islam, their Sabbath is from Friday sunup to Friday sundown. That's half of the sixth day. They're not even dealing with the seventh day at all. Christians, their seventh day starts Sunday morning. Their so-called holy day starts Sunday morning, which is what? The first day of the week. Because they hate Christ. They hate God. They hate the Bible. I know they're going to come with other excuses, but brothers and sisters, that's the real reason. And above all, here's the systemic racism part of it. They know that only Israel is accountable to the Most High for serving it. They'll tell you that in Christianity. Well, that's the Jews that's supposed to do that. Well, suppose we're the Jews. Suppose we're the Israelites, learning under them and not following the day the Lord gave us. By default, it keeps us under the Gentiles. That's a systemic racism on a different level. They'll keep the Sabbath from us under all of these religions we're being converted under. They'll keep it from us, knowing that we are accountable to the Sabbath. Check that out. Let's get it, Elder Lawyer. Now check that out.
Yes, sir.
Both of the religions our people in, Islam and Christianity, give excuses to why they don't follow the Sabbath. And our people just suck it up, not realizing that the Gentiles realize that we stay under the curse by breaking God's law. So they made that a mainstay in all the religions we've converted under, to make sure they keep the Sabbath from the children of Israel. That's systemic racism on an entirely different level, folks. Let's go. Let's read it, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. This is Exodus chapter 31, verse 13. Speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, Verily, my Sabbaths ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generation.
It's a sign between the God of the Bible and you, not just in the past, because they'll claim, well, that was back there with Moses. Throughout all your generations, even the future, even us now today being born.
Even after Christ died, John, Revelation, seen in the end times on the holy day, Paul and them on the holy day going to Sabbaths and stuff, it's still all in the Bible. After Christ died, all that. Holy days, all that. So, none of that was done away with. They were still doing it literally in the Bible after Christ died and resurrected and all that stuff.
Go on, Elder Lawyer.
That ye may know that I am the Lord that doeth sanctify you.
Now here's a question. Are you going to follow the God of this Bible here? Huh? Are you going to follow the God of this Bible?
Or religions, aka Satan, because our religion and holidays come from Babylon, Tower of Babel. It's just, when the tongues were split at the Tower of Babel, they had one satanic religion, right? The tongues were split, so they all separated, went to their own lands. They still kept the same thoughts and customs in that one religion, just different languages, different locations. So that's all religions. All the same, worshiping Satan, just different ways, different languages, different locations, blah, 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 different culture.
Or your pastor.
When they swap the names, they have many names. Like, they'll just add Mary and Christ to it, even though it's Tammuz, / Nimrod, it's Ramesses. It's not even Mary and Christ at all. That's your virgin birth. They'll put Mary and Christ when it's really Tammuz and Ramesses. That's what they do. Isis and Osiris in Egypt, blah, 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 right?
Are you going to follow the God of the Bible or this? If your God tell you that the sign of you being his child is respecting his Sabbaths, that's the sign between man and him. Are you going to listen to him or your pastor give you an excuse to why they've skipped over the word of God and his holy day? Now, we're going to help you come to some conclusions here. This is the way you'll know that you're following man opposed to the Most High God. Easy. If that man start giving you excuses to why, the disciples gathered on the first day of the week. Well, I can show you scriptures where the disciples gathered on the second day of the week or the fourth day of the week. But that have nothing to do with the Sabbath. Taking away the Sabbath. So they purposely went to first day of the week scriptures as if other days of the week are not in the Bible concerning the gathering of disciples. What does that have to do with the price of tea in China?